Good morning. It is March 13th, 2024. We have quite a weather map to discuss today going into next week. This is especially true. I think the highlight really has got to be Colorado, Denver, Colorado, especially areas just to the west of Denver, Colorado, where a monster snowstorm is in the process of developing. Furthermore, this snowstorm actually has some aspects that are so unique that the National Weather Service says that as the storm departs, they're really not sure what's going to happen. And this is regarding the winds going downslope, winds going into Denver. It's not clear what the National Weather Service is referring to. But despite the unique synoptic weather setup, the actual conditions on the surface are not going to be unique. It's going to be a classic major snowstorm, which hits this time of the year. You know, in Denver, Colorado, the storm track tends to bring the heaviest snow into the city in the very beginning of winter and at the very end of winter. So this time period is nothing unique, and these storms load up with lots of snow, especially due to the upslope winds. But here's an aspect about this snowstorm that's going to be unique. One thing is the upslope wind. We spoke about a downslope wind, which is not clear, but the upslope wind generally comes out of the northeast. But due to a low pressure system, which the National Weather Service is calling a shortwave, which is just to the northeast of the Colorado area at the time of the precipitation, that shortwave is actually going to be weaker than what was originally anticipated. The National Weather Service of Denver explains that the storm system out on the west, going from Idaho, it will take a track down into Nevada and then into the desert southwest. That storm system is going to be the primary storm system regarding directing the winds, and it will not be the low pressure system as it in the northeast parts of Colorado. Therefore, what usually comes in as a northeast wind, which produces some upsloping, will be coming in as an east wind, which will be producing very significant upsloping, more than a northeast wind. These light east winds going up the mountains by the Colorado Rockies will be surged with moisture that's coming out of the Gulf. So the atmosphere is going to be loaded with moisture. In fact, about double of what it's more than double. We're at the 75th percentile of what usually happens in that area. 1.5 inches of QPF, with some areas up at 3 inches of QPF. That's the water equivalent. Now, eventually, the winds will be becoming northeast, and at the time that they do, here's another unique aspect to the storm. The northeast winds go way, way up into the atmosphere. They're deep, 30 knots, all the way up into the atmosphere. That's also going to increase the amount of moisture that gets squeezed out. The precipitation rates will be heavier due to that. Heavier precipitation rates, first of all, will cause the changeover to snow to occur a little bit earlier, but more importantly, just heavier precipitation rates means there's going to be more snow. The temperatures are borderline, temperatures in the low to mid 30s throughout the storm. In fact, initially, temperatures even in the mid 40s and lower 50s in the Denver area will cause the precipitation to be falling as rain. Here's another part to this storm, which isn't super unique, but it is something spectacular, really. It's where we have the instability is coming at a level where thunderstorms are expected. 1 or 2 thunderstorms are expected this afternoon, and one of those storms could be falling as snow. That's going to be producing heavier snowfall rates. The National Weather Service tells us that the snow to water ratio will be a little bit wetter than what they originally thought. So this will help bring down snow totals. Instead of a peak snow total being 48 inches in some locations, says the National Weather Service, 60 inches, says AccuWeather, 60. National Weather Service tells us that some of the computer models continue to show more than 40 inches of snow, but not 48 inches of snow. That's really for areas well to the west of Denver. The western suburbs of Denver is where we're going to see snowfall accumulations of 18 to 24 inches. Snowfall accumulations possibly under 10 inches as you go east of Denver. Denver. National Weather Service tells us basically a 10 to 20 inch snowstorm for the Denver area. Majority of that will be falling on Thursday, but the rain changes over to snow after 10 o'clock p.m. this evening for the Denver area. And rain changes over to snow a little bit earlier for areas to the west and a little bit later areas to the east. It's really north of Interstate 70, west of Interstate 25, or along the Interstate 25 area. That's where we see the heaviest snow. And as you get into the mountain range, the precipitation will be falling as snow already throughout the day today. The first little system moves through this morning, and that system produces some light snow showers. This afternoon is where a more significant shortwave moves through, a more significant storm system moves through, producing heavier snow showers. Some areas could be getting up to 3 inches by this evening. But tonight's snow becomes more significant. Denver, Colorado area, possibly from 2 to 4 inches. Some forecasts are even saying possibly as much as 6 inches this evening, but we'll put an emphasis more on 2 to 4 because there's also a chance that the precipitation may not change over to snow until later than what is currently forecasted for Denver. So 2 to 4 inches sounds like a good bet. Now tomorrow is where a very significant snow falls, about 6 to 12 inches for the Denver area, with more snow expected tomorrow night. That's you have snow totals in some locations tomorrow, 7 to 13 inches. That's more in the mountain range. We do have snow totals from 2 to 4 feet. That's what's expected for the mountain range. Most areas will not be getting higher than 3 feet. That's, again, out in the mountain areas. Very dangerous travel. In fact, the National Weather Service tells us that in some locations, travel could become absolutely impossible, as in the Colorado area. This storm system also has a severe weather side in the southeast portions. That's for today's storm. Another system moves through tomorrow. The more significant one is actually tomorrow. Tomorrow we have 2 peak areas, 2 areas where the severe weather risk really reaches peak intensity, and one of them is going through Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois for tomorrow. And the first one is where it usually is, over in Oklahoma and Texas, even portions of Arkansas. Little Rock, Arkansas will be included in this, portions of St. Louis, especially by tomorrow. But even today already, but today the main focus is Kansas City, Missouri, Wichita, Kansas. We also have portions of southeast Nebraska and southwest Iowa, which will be seeing a higher risk for severe weather. The largest threat is really hail. Hail to the size of 2 inches in diameter could be expected in any of these storms, with damaging wind gusts past 58 miles per hour. 58 miles per hour is considered damaging wind gusts. Some storms could gust as high as 65 miles per hour. There also is a tornado threat. I think the tornado threat is probably highest over in the Oklahoma area. That's where the dry line is. But the center of low pressure will be significant as you head off into the northeast portions or northern. That area of low pressure really moves into northern Missouri later on tomorrow. We see cooler temperatures that move in after the storm system pulls out, but the much cooler weather doesn't move in until after a cold front moves through the Midwest on Saturday, bringing colder air into our region Sunday, Monday, perhaps even Tuesday. And in fact, should that cold air collide with some type of moisture, we would be seeing some snow. A lot of forecasters feel that snow will be falling in the beginning part of next week. But there also is indicators that the storm system, the storm track bringing all of its precipitation in this country will be too far to the south, and it will not be phasing with the colder air. And according to that, we would not see much snow. But what's important to point out is that that's just in regards to the southern stream storms. What that means is that we would not see snow from a southern stream storm, so we wouldn't be getting any major winter storm. But snow which is connected to the northern stream, that's something that does seem likely to happen. That is something you could almost expect to happen with the colder air, but nothing too significant regarding the accumulations. We do have warmer air coming in. It's... if you look in the Chicago Tribune and you look at the weather section today, you'll see that there's a question asked. It's an AccuWeather weather section, and the question asked is it safe to put away my snowblower today? And his answer is that it's not safe yet because of the snow, the possible snow in the beginning part of next week. But after next week, it would be safe to put the snowblower away. So that's an interesting answer, because when you get into the upper Midwest, the National Weather Service of Duluth, Minnesota, tells us that we go into a below normal weather pattern. This is for the upper Midwest, along with an above normal precipitation pattern, really by the very end of March. For the first half of the end of March, we go into a below normal weather pattern with a below normal precipitation pattern as well. But the second half of the second part of March, getting all the way towards the end, that's when we go into we continue with a below normal temperature weather pattern, but an above normal precipitation weather pattern, which would increase the chances for snow in the upper Midwest. So one could argue and say that, that's for the upper Midwest. The only thing is that sometimes these storm tracks you can't even forecast them a few days out. So to say that with high confidence that the storm track will be missing the Chicago area I would think is not such a responsible thing to do at this point, but that was his answer. I would think wait till after March. And really, if you really want to be safe, it's important to point out that the Chicago area has seen heavy snow even as late as April 8th, or a powerhouse 8 or 9 inches of a heavy wet snow, perhaps more, fell across the Chicago area. One of the top 10 blizzards for the Chicago area, the largest snowstorm, which makes it into the top 10, occurred March 25th into March 26th. So we don't want to rule anything out yet. And then when you get further into the month of April, we have seen accumulating snow, but nothing too significant. Though we've seen snow even May 1st, just a couple of inches. And the latest date of snow occurred in the month of June. The only 2 months which we have never seen snowflakes here in the Chicago area is for July and August. We're going to point out a couple other things on the weather map today. First of all, Santa Ana winds are headed into the Los Angeles area. These are warm and dry winds. I didn't get a chance to see what the forecast temperatures are going to be over there. But we have another highlight developing up into the Northwest Pacific. If you look at the weather pattern, it almost looks like a dome of heat almost, which after the storm departs, they'll be getting unseasonably warm temperatures, possibly even record-breaking temperatures up in Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington. Not really hot, just beautiful weather as temperatures warm into the low to mid-70s over there. A major highlight, however, and for some this is even more of a highlight than the blizzards or winter storm in Colorado, even more of a highlight than the severe weather risks, is the extreme, super extreme fire danger that is currently in effect over in Texas as the relative humidity drops into the single digits later on today. They're already seeing tremendous fires, some type of by a creek over there. I'm sure everyone else is familiar with this. It started in the very last week of February. The event today is not quite the risk for fire spreading. Weather is not quite as high today, not quite as high as it was at the end of February if you just look at the winds. But there's already a lot going on there. And for many, this is the top headline. That's how severe it is over there. So there's a major, major fire risk in that part of our country. Of course, we have not covered it all. Temperatures going into the 70s, even low 80s possible for the Washington, Washington, D.C., Baltimore area over the next week, which is expected to cause a lot of blossoming of flowers. I believe it's especially true regarding the cherry bushes. And, it's what is totally remarkable is that temperatures have already hit 80 degrees there back in January. Back in January, we pointed out that was a record for over there. We still have not hit 80 degrees for a second time yet. Anyways, we're going to sign off over here. People who love the snow, enjoy the snow, enjoy the skiing. The National Weather Service tells people not to be driving along Interstate 25 tonight or tomorrow night, and to wait until Friday until things start to clear out before people start driving to the ski resorts out in Colorado. Enjoy the beautiful weather if you're in other parts of our country. Temperatures really warm today in St. Louis, mid and upper 70s, perhaps even warmer. We do have a little bit of a lake breeze happening here in the Chicago area. So temperatures still mild and warm with highs upper 50s to upper 60s, but not quite as warm as they were yesterday. Where we did not have a lake component to the wind blowing inland. We do have that again for today. We're just going to speak a little bit about the Midwest, by the way, just to inform people that we do have a heavy rain event on the way for here in the Midwest. We have a frontal boundary, which ordinarily would move north into the Wisconsin area later on, especially tomorrow. But due to thunderstorm outbreaks that have been occurring along the boundary, there's something called an outflow from thunderstorms. That's where colder air comes from aloft. Due to the storms, that colder air actually has been acting to suppress this front and is keeping it to the south of the Wisconsin-Illinois border, and that's also helping to keep temperatures a little bit down here in the Chicago area. It's helping those winds come in off the lake. I wish everybody a wonderful day. Stay safe and enjoy whatever weather you have. Thank you for listening.